Devin Gardner, Fox Sports, former Michigan quarterback, joins us. Hey, man, how you doing? I know you've been in meetings. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. How's everybody doing, man? Appreciate you guys having me on. Meetings are very extensive here late in the year. Teams are kind of figuring out who they are, and coaches want to let you know it's not supposed to be this way. It's really that way. What you're seeing is not who we are. So, but it's all fun, and I'm so happy to have college football back.
As usual, the Big 12 is like you just never know. There's some teams you kind of know, and then we were just talking about BYU, Iowa State. You saw them in person last week, and you get them again. They just seem to be no nonsense. They don't panic, and they seem to just kind of do almost everything pretty well.
Yeah, the one thing you see when you watch Iowa State, and this is, when they're not as good as they are right now, is they don't flinch, man. It was some stuff that went on in that game that you see where you get your cornerback getting multiple pass interference calls. You lose both your interior defensive linemen. You're playing Josh Allen on the other side, in Baylor's quarterback. It was a perfect storm and a perfect opportunity to say, okay, we'll just have one loss this year and maybe try to pick it up again next weekend. They didn't flinch, man. Their cornerback, Miles Purchase, after so many pass interference calls, stood tall after being picked on. It was very impressive to see. Obviously, Rocco Beck played well, and their running back, Jalen Jackson, a running back that many people, I don't think they saw coming because of Abu Sama and how talented he is. But in my opinion, Jalen Jackson is the back that's best suited for the way that their offensive line has played. And then their offensive line responded after not being as good as you think they want to be throughout the year, in particular at the inside positions, the guard positions. They were significantly better on Saturday, and it was really impressive to watch. And a lot of credit goes to Baylor as well, man. Baylor played a really good football game to a point, but then had some of those unforced errors that kind of put them behind the ball. But Iowa State, I think they're a real football team, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people as the year continues.
Devin, what were your thoughts on Baylor? You watched them last year, you watched them this year, and they are certainly doing things better this year. But they're still not winning. They don't really have any, dogs on the team, and their coaching staff is kind of up against the gun here. What were your thoughts after watching that game?
Man, it's so unfortunate just because that's a good football team, in my opinion. I think that, and I said in our open to the game that as much as you are who your record says you are, I just truly think that's not indicative of who they are. They're a good football team, but the ball has bounced the wrong way in a number of occasions. Like, for example, in the game, the interception that Sawyer Robertson throws. Throughout this game, he is playing lights out. Like I said, Josh Allen showed up for Baylor, right? And he's unstoppable, and it's fourth down, and he's running around. He's doing the things he had done all game, and then he tries to throw a ball to the back of the end zone when he had almost 25 yards, I would say, maybe even getting the end zone when he can run and get the first down. And, even before that, you get a touchdown, right? You go up, I think it was 14 or whatever the score was. You score 2 touchdowns, and then you get a personal foul penalty, right? So it's a success on the kickoff, and then you kick the ball out of bounds, and you give Iowa State, an Iowa State team who, in my opinion, could have crumbled because it looked like they couldn't stop Baylor, and they couldn't really get on the good foot on offense, but you give them the ball at the 50-yard line, right? So things like that, I feel like has gotten in the way of Baylor having the ultimate successes they want to have. And there are a few plays here, a few plays there from that being a different game. And for other games being a different game, right? Think about the BYU game that you talk about. They demolished BYU for the 3 quarters. That first quarter, they score a touchdown, and then you throw a pick that is not Sawyer Robinson's fault. It bounces off the helmet. They intercepted on the very first play. So now you're off the bus. You're down 14. And they battle all the way back. So my key for them in the game was to win the first quarter, because the rest of the quarters, they're outstanding, right? They're losing 45-10 before Saturday in the first quarter and winning the games 61-50 for the rest of the 3 quarters, right? Now, they did own the first quarter this week, but then it was the rest of the quarters they kind of struggle with. So they just got to play a complete game, and I think they're really capable.
Devin Gardner with us, Fox Sports, right here on 365 Sports. Devin, when you have things where, and I want to, one more follow-up on Baylor. They seem to make the bad mistake at the wrong time or whatever. Can it just switch where all of a sudden you put both halves together, or is that asking for too much?
Well, I think the bye week comes at a perfect time. That's one thing. And I think they will hit their stride when they get back on the field. I think you'll see a different Baylor because they've seen I'm telling you, Coach Aranda is going to show them all the things I just outlined. Before that game last week, we're getting dominated in the first quarter. In every game, we're getting dominated in the first quarter. If we change that and we continue to play how we do in the second, third, and fourth quarter, it's going to be totally different games. And then on Saturday, obviously, they have a great first quarter, and then it starts to wither away here in the second half and whatever. It's a team that needs to learn how to win. And I think that after seeing what they were capable of in that first quarter against a really good Iowa State team, I think they will continue to improve, and the bye week comes at the perfect time, and they'll be able to mash those things together. And I think this second half of the season, you're going to see a different Baylor team.
Devin, who is the team that you've seen this year that you were most surprised by?
Surprised? Man, I've had so many games. Surprised? I would say Iowa State because it's fresh, obviously, but I'm not super surprised, right? This is a team that always plays well, and you know, I was surprised maybe that they were undefeated just because their offensive line hadn't played well. Rocco Beck hadn't played well to the level that he's capable of playing, but they put it together on Saturday. You know, obviously Baylor would have liked for them to take one more week before they put it together, but Iowa State has been a little bit of a surprise just because I didn't think the way they played after watching the film that they could be an undefeated team, but they are, and they are improving, which is bad for the rest of the Big 12. But I don't know. Let's see. Who did I have? Who was a lot better?
Did you guys do the Washington State Tech game? Or
yes, we did. Washington State was a surprise, but they've kind of, got back to, who everybody thought they would be. I thought they had a real chance to run the table and make the college football committee have a real decision, but they have that loss to Boise State, and it's going to be tough to plead your case for college football playoff when you don't have the schedule strength that they kind of have. And so, but Texas Tech has been a little bit of a surprise because I thought they would really turn the corner this year. I thought they would be in some spots dominant team, especially offensively. I thought they would really put it all together offensively and defensively, and they just haven't been able to this point in the season.
They've won, though, the last 2 weeks when it was dicey. Cincinnati, They found a way. They went into Tucson and beat Arizona. They usually don't start well. They're 5-1. And it looks like they've learned how to win. Where you talked about other teams that sometimes you forget how to win, it looks like Joey's kind of turned the corner with them.
Yeah, Joey is one of the better coaches in the Big 12, man, and honestly in the country. He does an outstanding job, and it was so stressful to watch some of the things that were happening to them on the film. And obviously it's some things that you just can't see on the TV copy, right? It's intricate things that can change an entire game. And they've got it rolling. But, for me, I want to wait and see, right? Cincinnati, love Cincinnati. And, I don't love it that much. It's in Ohio. So, but you want to wait and see because Cincinnati hasn't proven to be that formidable force as a team. Arizona hasn't been great this year. So I just want to continue to see them do it before you kind of snap them and say, hey, they figured it out.
Devin Gardner with his Fox Sports, former Michigan quarterback. That's why the shot at Ohio. I get that. I understand that.
I mean, nobody likes Ohio, I don't think, right?
Look, I've only been there a couple times, and I can tell you,
man,
nothing
pleasant
at the time.
Well, Devin may hang up because I've been to Columbus, but for a high school game back in 15, 20 years ago. But it was for a high school game.
How about their freshmen, though, man? Where are they getting these guys? It's just unfair. This is a grown man. This is Julio Jones. After he's done playing with the Falcons, he comes back and he enrolls at Ohio State. It's ridiculous. Not fair.
Well, yeah, and then you have, of course, I know they lost to Vanderbilt, but 17-year-old Ryan Williams.
Oh, my God. They didn't lose because of him. I can tell you that. They didn't lose because of him. He did everything he could to make sure they didn't lose, and where are they making these kids? And it's even more impressive for the young kid because, firstly, he won't be 18 until February. And then some of the things he's doing, he looks like a little kid out there, right? Yep. Whereas Smith looks like a grown man. He should be doing the things he's doing. But the 17-year-old looks like a regular 17-year-old when he gets next to the other college players that's been in a weight room program. He's supposed to be playing high school football, and he is unstoppable. Unbelievable. It's unfair. I don't like it, and Michigan needs some of them. Half of some of them. How about that? We'll take half.
Just get a handful of them.
Yeah.
Kansas State at Colorado. Colorado had that miracle win at the end against Baylor, another part of that story with Dave Aranda. K-State took a hickey early in the year, but they kind of righted themselves. This, to me, Colorado's, they seem like this. Man, Devin, this game here could be fun to watch. Will be fun to watch.
This game's really dangerous for Kansas State. And, obviously, Kansas State is in the same I see them in the same light as Iowa State, as a team that does things right. They don't beat themselves, and it was very surprising to see the outing they had against BYU, but they look like they're back to where they are. But Colorado, I should have said I didn't have them this year, but I've had to watch their film just based off of having teams that they played, and namely Baylor this past week. They are the surprise team. I didn't think a whole bunch of them. I didn't, because, if you can't stop the run, you can't run the football. There's no chance of you being the team that you think you can be. But in the last few weeks, they've really put it together, stopping the run and running the football. And when you can do that, right, we saw what Shedeur was capable of when he doesn't have a run game, where he's dropping back to pass and he's still dicing up the defense and whatever. But when you can protect him and run the football, that's a problem, right? That's a problem because they've got some electric wide receivers in. And Kansas State early in the year had some mishaps in the back end that kind of, weren't very good, and they were out of place a bunch, and miscommunications and things like that. And it seems like they've gotten that shored up, but that cannot show up again against Colorado, or it's going to be a long day.
Devin, you and Tim are, 6, 7, 8 games into this. I know you had a doubleheader one week and all that, but what is it like building that new chemistry in a broadcast booth? And he and Spencer were together for so long. You guys sound like you really like each other, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like you're having fun there. But from the outside looking in, it looks like you're just having fun. But you're still early on in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's my uncle, my old uncle, who's got these crazy theories and ideas, and I just try to keep him in check. Make sure we're talking about the game. But he's a pro, man, and he's so fun to work with just because he has this endless knowledge of everything about football. Right, he's called everybody. Like we got Rocco Beck this week again, and he called the games for his father, who's going into the Hall of Fame at West Virginia. I mean, just endless knowledge and past experiences. I think we're really good for each other, right? I think that his poise as a pro has helped me, and I think my youthfulness and real attention to football detail has really helped him. And I think it's kind of a perfect marriage that nobody saw coming. And when I listen to the games back, it's like, man, it does seem like do I really like this guy? I mean, I don't know what's going on here. It's been fun. And we talked this past week after the game, and he's like, yeah, man, we're just getting started. Like, that's the thing. Like, we just met each other, honestly. You know what I mean? So for us to have this kind of rapport early, I think it's only up from here.
Devin,
I guess it could go down, but
No. What was the story about you wearing number 98 at Michigan?
Yeah, so Michigan did a thing where they would bring legacy jerseys back into play, and the person they would ask to wear the jersey had to exemplify some of the characteristics of the guy whose jersey was retired. And so the last one to come out was number 98, Tom Harmon, who, fought in the Army. He flew fighter jets, and the fighter jet crashes, and everybody dies, and he walks away, right? Tough guy who loves his country and loves football. Obviously, he was a talented athlete, won the Heisman. I remember hearing a story of how he got a standing ovation at Ohio State, right? Because he was so good on defense, offense, and he punted, had a 50-yard punting average, right? So all-around football player, all-around dude, all-around human and guy. So for his family to look at me and say, hey, yeah, man, I know you play quarterback, but we really want you to wear this jersey because we think you exemplify all the things that our dad exemplified. That was one of the greatest honors of my life. I'm so glad. At first, I was really against it because 98 at quarterback. I'm a guy. I'm about swag. People see how I'm dressed. I really care about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm a part of the generation that you look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good, all that, right? So I just didn't think it looked great at quarterback. But I called Denard Robinson and said, hey, man, they just asked me to, whatever. I'm all upset. And he do it. They'll never forget you, right? And so I think he was right. And it was a great honor. And a funny story about when I met Mark Harmon, who I'm sure you guys know, NCIS.
Yeah.
He's very famous actor. He played quarterback at UCLA. I didn't know any of that. I knew him from a Disney movie called Freaky Friday. So
yeah.
I meet him in the hotel the night before the game, and his family's there, and it's really cool. And he gives me his dad's broadcasting, which is kind of crazy. I'm a broadcaster now. He gives me his dad's broadcasting pin from the Olympics, right? Obviously, his dad has passed on. I got it in my safe, so nobody can ever touch it. I'll wear it one game at some point, but that was really cool. But I see him, and I'm like, you're the guy from Freaky Friday. And he's like, oh. And then everybody, like, his family's laughing, and I'm just confused. Like, I don't know what I just said, but, you know. And he's like, well, it's not my best work. So I've done other things. And I'm just like, well, I love Freaky Friday, and I thought it was great. So
hey, you should have known me then, because I would have said, look, tell him he's the guy from The Presidio, which is a movie he did with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that like NCIS was on then, right? I mean, it's been on.
Yeah, it
forever,
was. I just wasn't watching it. I was watching cartoons and Disney. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should, or Summer School. Like, I'll tell you, if you want to watch a great 80s movie, go watch Summer School. He was in that. He was very good in Summer School.
You're way over my head. I have no idea about these things. You know?
He's watched every movie that is not even the ones that have been released yet. He's watched them.
The Presidio's badass, man. It's him and Connery. So, yeah.
Devin, if you don't mind, one more question. And you got Iowa State, West Virginia. And West Virginia, of course, they're still in this mix too, despite the losses early in the year to Pitt and also Penn State. You know DeQuan Finn incredibly well. That's how you and I got to know each other when I reached out to you. It's obviously been not what he thought, and he's been hurt. How, in your opinion, and you know him, if you don't mind picking his brain, how's he handling everything?
Well, he's handling it well, and, you know, getting a chance to talk to Coach Spav this week, you know, he's had the ball bounce the wrong way, right? Think about Utah, where, you know, he's got a guy wide open, and they do not block the back. I mean, don't even touch the backside end, and he gets smashed, right? And so throughout that game, it was much of that same thing of just pressure, under duress, can't really get your footing, and then he gets hurt, right? And then after he gets hurt, you know, Sawyer Robertson comes in and lights it up right the next week and continues to play well. So a guy that has so much hope and so much talent, and Spav was saying, like, man, all these plays that we're running with Sawyer, these were for DeQuan, right? All these running plays and things, we didn't even know Sawyer Robertson can do this stuff, right? So, but the thing is, man, it's tough, and he's dealing with it really, really well, even better than, you know, most. And honestly, myself, I don't know how I would deal with it as well as he has. He's been a supporter of Sawyer, which, you know, you expect, but, you know, that's tough, man. This is his last shot, right? He's getting his opportunity to live his dream, and he has to watch from the sideline because of nothing. It wasn't his fault, right? You know, he gets hurt. So it's tough. But life isn't fair, and I've expressed that to him through the years, and he understands that, and all he has to do is continue to stay prepared, and that's what he's doing.
Devin, great stuff. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Good luck with the broadcast. Iowa State in Morgantown against West Virginia. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I mean, hopefully Iowa State or West Virginia don't play well, because, you know, the fans just think you love one team when they're playing well. It's like, it's because your team isn't playing well.
Yeah. No.
Did you think about that?
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying many good things, because they're not playing well.
Yeah, no, that's what he likes. So yeah, that happens. It's in the baseball playoffs. You hear that about certain guys.
Oh,
Devin,
he hates our team. No, your team is not playing well.
Devin Gardner with Fox Sports. Thank you very much. Former Michigan quarterback. He also was a part of that old Sports Illustrated. Used to have that one section, Faces in the Crowd. Back in 2009, he was a part of that issue in Sports Illustrated.